Hello, hello, my green skins, and today we are doing Rhodes versus Darcy. This is the fight you're all waiting for. Who was the better husband for Marcy? Who was the better who's the better character overall? And who was actually the top of the litter? Which one was better?
Dun dun dun. Round one. Fight. Nah.
So, all right. So I gotta say it. Here's my thing with Rhodes, and I'll lead off. My thing with Rhodes is that he was more able to do comedic standing than Darcy was, and that's my biggest problem with That was my biggest problem with Darcy. Rhodes and Bundy had moments where it was fucking funny.
Oh yes, they did.
Like,
But Rhodes, as a character, he is a man who is torn between his. Well, I don't want to use. Well, torn is not the right word, but he has some conflicts between his devotion to his wife, but being with Al brings out some personality traits that she doesn't like.
and that's kind of what I like about Rhodes, where Darcy is already on the wild side. He
Yeah,
is.
he's a gold digger.
Oh, he's a gold digger lady man, and that kind of makes it kind of like he is actually a trophy husband. Like literally down to the point that he actually refers to himself as a trophy husband.
That being said, he is not. What's the word I'm looking for? He doesn't go behind Marcy's. He doesn't cheat on her.
No, he doesn't cheat on her, but most gold
He's
diggers
loyal.
don't. Yeah, he's loyal. Well, he also has a
Well,
dark past, which kind of makes the character kind of interesting. But where Rhodes, he played the perfect straight man. He also played the good character where there were moments where he could just do stuff with a look. We know why the real reason the actor left the series. And it's a little sad to know that he left because he wanted to do theater, but absolutely had a great story, had a great way of presenting himself. There was this he could do it, he could do shit with a look that had a comedic value. And
yeah,
that
but
was my biggest problem. Go ahead.
yeah, but I don't know if this is true or not. But this is what I gathered. He wanted to do theater. He prefers that over TV acting, and also that he doesn't feel like he's right for comedy. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? You did
You're
amazing career.
amazing. Yeah, I know. That is kind of sad if you think about it, right? This is a character like he was like comedic fucking gold. There, like I said, he could do shit with a look, with a fucking look. There was more than one time he did something just with a little grin. Like one of my favorite moments is like again, I'm gonna go back to the Bra episode, the one that got canceled. You know, that episode. There's a moment where he's like, oh, he walks in and says to Marcy, like, oh, you went to Finnegan's? Have you been a good girl? And she walks up. She kind of like scurries up to him, and it actually is like almost like a prat, like a scurry. And he like releases the two fingers. He just releases the finger, shows what's in the bag. She looks down and goes, "I've been a bad boy." And he has this grin, this little kind of smile, kind of picks up. That is hysterical. Darcy does stuff like that too, but I find Darcy was more of an action comedic. Like there was a lot of times where he kind of pratfalled.
Rhodes is definitely more complex as a character,
Well,
more
Darcy's
than the show
also
needed
very
to be.
complex. Yeah, Darcy's also very complex. And on that end, we'll actually say that Darcy really had a complex character.
But I think
And
Rhodes is the much more complex one because, like I said, he's got
well,
this
you gotta.
he's got this thing with Al that brings out his more manly attributes, which Marcy doesn't like. But he's also loyal to her and he loves her. He doesn't want to
Well,
upset
until
her.
he eventually gave
And
up on her.
yeah, about that. How do you feel about the way he was written out of the show? Like he just left her because out of nowhere he
that
suddenly doesn't
that
like
just
her anymore.
that was brutal. That was brutal, and wow, was that brutal. That in a way, I get where it came from because he stopped working, if I remember correctly. Wasn't that like he lost his job?
He lost interest. I think he quit the show on his own terms.
No, 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 no. I know he quit the show on his own
Oh, you're talking about
terms.
the
I mean,
character. Uh,
yeah, the character had lost his job, so he started going through shit, and that's what did it. In the show, that's how they burned him out. They wrote him out that way, and I like how that ended, but at the same time, I'm like, Jesus, fuck, that's just rough because Marcy just kind of took a like it just blew Marcy out a little bit, and it was really tragic in that way.
and then we have
And
Jefferson, who is
Darcy,
yeah, he is basically he is to Marcy what Peg is to Al. Just a
yeah,
trophy husband, sits at home, just takes care of his looks.
yeah, and that's the way he kind of acts, and actually that's the thing about Peg. Peg is not a trophy wife, but the way they portray him is just kind of amusing, and it's funny because of who he actually is and who he was in real life makes it really funny. Because like it isn't until later episodes that you actually see something. Like this is when we start getting the cast too, where it's not just the Darcys. You get Griff, you get these other individuals that start popping up,
Oh
and
yeah, and Jefferson fits in with that crowd. These new characters who I really
perfect.
like.
Oh yeah, he's perfect. He's a perfect
Yeah,
picture piece.
but it makes you
Where
wonder
Rhodes,
how would
go ahead.
Rhodes have handled these guys? How
Well,
well
no,
or
you
badly
actually
have
you
they?
actually don't need to see you don't need to wonder at all. Actually, there's actually an episode where Rhodes returns, and Rhodes returns
But
as
he's
a
but he's a bit of an antagonist in those returns.
he is a bit of an antagonist, but it's a good foil. He's actually a very good foil, and it works perfect. But I don't know. A part of me is happy that they kind of went this way with the Jefferson character because the Jefferson character is great on certain things, but at the same time, I thought Rhodes was an amazing actor. Like I thought he had the better comedic value. I don't know if you agree or not. I found him a lot more good just because he could do shit with a fucking grin. Like one of my favorite scenes is the burger episode. Another Rhodes episode is the burger episode where they find out that he's actually eating from the burger, which again is a very dark episode.
Oh, that. Oh yeah, very
Yeah,
dark.
where they
Where
where they get the
they
ashes. Yeah, where they get the ashes from his fucking from
of
his
Marcy's dead
from
aunt.
Marcy's dead aunt, and he has a fucking grin on his face while he eats that burger. There is nothing more fucking dark than that. That is just fucking dark and it is laughable.
While everybody
It's one of the
else
best.
was vomiting or spitting it in disgust, he was taking
Eating
joy
it.
because he hated her aunt or hated how Marcy wouldn't shut up about her.
Yeah, and that's what was great about it. Like you could tell that their marriage was not perfect.
Actually, it
But
was, but the Bundys destroyed it just by beating them.
yeah, maybe you could say that. You actually could say that the Bundys might be responsible for that marriage falling apart. But I would say the Darcy's Marcy, that's the other thing. That season, the one thing that season there, that series did when they moved into Darcy's, Marcy was way more of an antagonist at that point.
Oh yeah.
And they blew up her antagonist role up to 11. Like she is like such an heavy antagonist at that point. She is so over the top in some ways.
Yeah, she
And
basically became
that
the villain of many of the story of the
oh,
episodes.
she did. Yeah, she really did. It was either getting her comeuppance or watching her win and watching Bundy take a freaking header. And there are great episodes, but that when that happened, that made Marcy a bigger role. And a part of me thanks that because that added this more wildness to it. It also added more fun when they got along more because there were scenes in the later seasons where they actually get along. Oh, another famous episode from the series. They're all famous people. Watch the fucking series.
Yeah, if you haven't
Another
watched this
great
show, what the
episode.
hell are you doing?
Yeah,
Quick.
listening to us talk about this. Watch the show. It's awesome. Okay. Another great episode is the episode where Al and her are drinking in a bar because they're the bread bringers. That is probably one of the best and most relatable episode for that show. And like I said, there are quite a few great episodes, and that one's really good. Like, how fucking relatable is that? They're both sitting there making the money, and just they're sitting there getting drunk together, and it's good. Like they just did some great. Like there was a lot of comedic stuff. Darcy added a lot. Another episode that's kind of good is the topless bar episode,
Oh, that
and
one.
where Darcy kind of steals Al's thunder, and then he starts working there full time. It's just yeah. And Darcy, like I said, he has good value, good timing, but there's a lot of stuff in this that's just kind of interesting. The show as a whole is a interesting piece. There are a lot of actors and a lot of people that made their teeth in this was their fucking either first introduction or they showed up later. Like, did you know that actually a American Gladiator ended up in this show?
Did he play that guy who
He was a
was supposed to?
stripper. He was the stripper. He
All
was the
right,
stripper police. Yeah, the police officer in the Peggy in the
the
that's
bra episode.
yeah.
We were
That
talking.
I think that's him. Yeah, I think that's him. And that's the crazy thing. There's so many people, and that also is a if you know anything about geek lore, he played in a couple of video games, and he was also part of a like a D&D inspired board game. So if you know anything about that, like he's part of the tape, his character would show up and swing a blade and shit. So he did a lot of crazy stuff. I kind of thought that was funny when you start realizing, holy shit, he's in that episode. Holy shit, that guy's in this episode. We get that a lot, right? I don't know if you've noticed that, but how many people did you catch where you're just like, fuck, I remember that. I know this character.
Um, I don't know. When it comes to guest stars on the show, I didn't recognize most of them. I'm sorry to
Oh, I
say,
recognized a
except
lot of them. And
Gilbert Gottfried, and that's only because of the
yeah,
voice.
oh, it's Gilbert Gottfried. Like he's hard not to notice. He's kind of one of those guys. But no, it's funny. It just the show itself was just had its moments. But back to the Darcy and Rhodes debate. It's
So,
it
so,
really is one of go ahead.
so, uh, Rhodes, like I said, he has these conflicts that's part of his arc in the whole show.
Mhm.
Uh, Darcy is more like a he's more of a he's more of a friend to Al. They get along a lot better. Like
I would disagree there actually. I would actually say that Al because there's way more times where he's like, shut up, Jefferson. Like Jefferson, you get that kind of like, and he also just calls him Darcy a lot, I've noticed, where he actually refers to Steve by Steve's name. It isn't until Steve betrays Marcy and fucks off that there's an issue, that's when it becomes a problem. I think that's when because, like, I guess in a way, you kind of get that Al doesn't like the fact that he did that.
uh, I don't know about that. I mean, there was an episode where he purposefully did not tell Rhodes that Marcy remarried because he wanted to see them fight over it, and
Mm.
he took joy in that conflict. in watching
Yeah,
it.
but he took joy in that conflict because of the way because Marcy did stuff to him. Like at this point, those two, Marcy had done some pretty funny stuff to him. One of my favorite, the food, like, because Marcy would get involved in their marriage, in Peggy and Al's marriage, and now it piss him off. Like one of the favorite moments is the bowling episode where I don't know what happened there, Peg. All of a sudden, all of a sudden, all the women started screaming, and I think something important or big's happening in 30 minutes. And it's like that's all her. Like I said, he screws with like the episode when they go to Troy's is another good episode. And we're going into the Darcy thing. We're gonna step into Darcy's story arc and have the good points of Darcy as well in a second. Uh like that ring episode where he gives him the ring and he's like, I want you to do me one good thing. When you finally show her the ring, tell her Al Bundy. That's how much they are antagonists. They don't like each other in some ways. We all have our rivals. Mine are seagulls. Fucking birds. So that's basically what it is. We all have our rivals. And so yeah, and Darcy's greatest foils is the fact that Darcy plays with Al a lot more, I think, in some ways. Like where Rhodes, they had a good play together. They actually could play together really good. Like they could play off each other. I felt Jefferson was a little bit more of he kind of stepped off on Al a lot.
It's it's just
And
like, do you think that obviously Jefferson blended in with Al's group better? Do you think Steve would have been able to do the same without conflict or obstacles?
no, I think they were good at playing off each other, especially the actor. You got the vibe that the actors liked each other, and you got like that. That's always a good sign. Like, and they were able to play off each other. Like I said, there are quite a few times where their conversations are reminders. I don't remember lots of what Darcy does in the series. I
Well,
know
he
that's
convinces
the funny
Al
thing.
to get into a lot of supposed get rich quick schemes, or he
Schemes, yeah,
he's a
yeah, yeah,
schemer.
and yeah, he's a schemer. He's a charlatan, and that's kind of the problem with him. He's also a secret agent, which is kind of amusing. But there's a lot of scenes in there where they screw with each other more than they actually play off each other. I think the episodes where you notice, like, it's always the zaniness. It's when the Darcys versus the Bundys kick off where you get the fun moments with those two. Like again, the shopping spree episode.
I
That's
think the
that's
show itself went into crazy territory.
Yeah. When you start getting to the crazy episodes, that's when Darcy shined. But like I said, the gold episode's another good classic. Um, there's the episode where you find out that Jefferson Darcy's actually a secret agent and was a secret assassin for the government, which is really fucking funny. That one I had a good laugh of. It's like, wow, they actually, that's kind of funny. And that kind of made it good. There's a lot of times where there's some great episodes, and I think it was the zaniness where the original series of Married with Children wasn't that zany, and I think it was right around when it got canceled that they brought the Jefferson Darcy in too, if I remember correctly.
I'd have to check, but I'm not sure if that was the.
Yeah, because I know they got canceled and then they re-brought it back a couple of years later.
I mean,
But yeah,
I think the
Darcy
problem
is
with Rhodes is well, not so much himself, but I think the reason why I personally prefer Jefferson is because his story arc, um, it started and it ran to the end of the show. Rhodes, on the other hand, his just abruptly ended,
Yeah,
so it
and
doesn't.
then
If he feels incomplete.
yeah, well, that's kind of what works with it too, is that they did that. And I guess you are right there. But the show ended at I don't even remember how the show That's the silly thing. I can never remember the final episode of that series for
That's the
the
problem.
life of me.
It didn't really end. The last episode was kind of just another episode. It didn't go off
Yeah,
with a bang or
yeah, I
walk
really I
into the
don't ever
sunset.
remember it. Yeah, I didn't see it right off to the sunset, and I really do hope they never do a continuation to the series because I think leaving it open like that they're still doing stuff in their 60s is kind of funny.
Well, there's always been talks about a reunion episode, not a series, just a single special called "Married with
Mhm.
Grandchildren." But
Yeah.
that's a separate
Well,
that's a separate discussion.
yeah, that's a separate discussion. Also, the fact that Modern Family kind of keeps that most of the main cast there, if I think so. Is it like Christina Applegate working in Modern? Like they had quite a few people from the original show make an appearance on that show.
I don't know. I never watched Modern Family.
Yeah. So overall, I would say Rhodes was my favorite for who he was and how he acted. But I would say Darcy works great for the continuation and his arc. So what do you think? Which one was the better Marcy husband?
I enjoyed. I just enjoy Jefferson more. Um,
Okay.
Despite the nuances and more layers to Rhodes, I don't know. I just something about Jefferson. I just find him a lot easier to digest, more enjoyable, and I think maybe it's not entirely because of him himself. Maybe it's just the direction the show is going that he complemented it, and the addition of the characters also complemented it. So I
Mhm.
think, so I think, I think that's what aided him.
Yeah.
But that's just
Well,
my opinion.
that's I think Rhodes could stand alone in a lot of his story arcs, and he actually had some fun moments. I think Jefferson had. I think Jefferson works within the area and the confines. Like I vaguely remember, I think he's the one that created they had the secret viewing show for the workout gym was Jefferson's idea if I remember correctly. I don't know whose idea it was, but it was one of the ideas to drill holes so they could see into the other room.
Wasn't that okay?
Was that Griff?
I
Like
think it
who
was
was that?
Griff's
I can't
idea to
remember.
have. No, I think it was Griff's
Yeah,
idea. Or no,
I
wait.
can't remember whose
It was
idea.
Al's. It was Al's idea, but he told Griff to tell the boss to give that I
Mhm.
to suggest it to the boss, so that because so that if Al suggested, she'd say no,
Mhm.
and I think it was Jefferson who made money out of it.
Yeah, Jefferson's the one who made money. Yeah, he's a shyster. Another episode with Jefferson where he's kind of the shyster is the pool episode where he uses Kelly to make pool, and Al's about to kick his head in because he thinks it's more than just pool.
How about the coffee episode, the coffee commercial episode?
Oh God. Oh, I vaguely, yeah. And funny thing is, I just watched the series. Yeah, that episode. And yeah, so yeah, they're both good characters. But I'm a Rhodes boy, and you're a Darcy dumbass. Kidding.
You're a Rhodes prick.
Rhodes prick. Yeah. Oh, okay.
I
So
guess
yeah, that's our.
another way to describe Rhodes is that he, he is a bit of a cuckold.
Oh, he is. Oh God, yeah. On
Yeah,
some levels, he
we did not
is.
touch upon that.
Well, we had no reason to because it's literally he's meant to be a straight man and that honest love type thing, and you know, on that way, I kind of like him for that.
But I loved that
Um,
scene where Al had this woman come to fix his refrigerator, and she's
Mhm.
dressed all skimpy and invites Rose to check her out while they're
Yeah.
drinking coffee.
That's the Trojan episode. That's the Troy's episode, not Trojan. The Troy's episode. Where they actually I believe that's the two-parter. And yeah, that's basically that was a two-parter for that. And that was great because how that ends. It's like I remember the first time I saw you after you won that marathon, and after he goes out to the log stand about that he was chasing a woman because he
Oh yeah,
saw her.
I watched ran a marathon. I didn't even know it. I was just chasing this girl.
Yeah, just following the hiney. Oh Jesus. What a great show. And you know what? Regardless of who you like, Rhodes or Darcy, we all know you're wrong because Rhodes is better. Just kidding.
No,
You know what? Both are great characters. And next we're gonna probably talk about Kelly and Bud, and just to kind of like highlight their little moments.
oh
And because those two have some interesting ones, especially the Verminator episodes later on. Oh, there's some fun things when Kelly finally gets a job.
oh yeah,
And yeah, oh yeah.
and the outfits she
Okay.
wears, especially
Well,
when she
yeah,
gets
Chris.
older.
Oh, Christina Applegate was. I won't deny it when she get. Well, yeah, Christina Applegate is still a very attractive woman to this day. I don't care what anybody says. She's still very cute. But
I think
that's
she,
neither.
unless you're Al, she got the most, she got the loudest cheers from the crowd when they were recording the show.
Well, she also was she again. Both the actors. We'll get into that, but both the actors in the next video. But both the actors did a great job,
Yeah.
and Kelly really did have some amazing. Christina Applegate has some amazing. Has a comedic timing. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And we're doing our love fest of Married with Children. We had to watch an entire series to get this off the ground, so it took a while. And hopefully, we'll have more episodes for you soon.